Hey folks, Tom Norfleet with www.citizenshipquickly.com. Want to talk to you about a Turkish citizenship and passport today. Turkey actually was rated as the 53rd best passport in the world, and you can go to about 110 countries visa-free and visa-free on arrival. These are countries and territories. There was a big change that was made in the Turkish Passport and Citizenship program approximately a year ago. It used to be where you could get the passport. It was $1 million US dollars you would have to invest in property, and really they weren't really getting much business from that. And the reason why is you could get a lot better passports with better visa-free travel, and you wouldn't have to pay this much. And the Turkish government started realizing they needed to drop it, and they dropped it way down. They dropped it from $1 million US dollars down to 250,000 US dollars. And one thing about this too is you can buy either one property or multiple properties, and you can buy them. They have to be pretty much in the same area in Turkey, but you don't have to buy from selected projects. You can go anywhere for that, which that's an advantage in itself. There are some big disadvantages, which I'm going to go over here in a minute. You have to hold the property for 3 years before you sell it. You can rent it out, or you can live in it yourself, which is real nice. And it takes about 3 to 5 months to get the citizenship. Once you apply and all your paperwork's turned in, there's no requirement to be there in Turkey for the, to get the citizenship. But the key is if you're getting property, you'd have to get power of attorney, and I wouldn't advise getting property without visiting, but that would be up to you. I'm going to tell you some disadvantages about the Turkish passport. Why I would never get it myself. I actually considered getting it myself, but there were some things I didn't like about it. The biggest thing I always tell clients is most of our clients have a net worth of 2 million US and up. And most of those people, they're probably one of their biggest concerns is taxes. And Turkey's got some really bad tax laws. Okay, they tax worldwide income if you live there as a resident, and their tax bracket currently right now is 35%. That's their top bracket. Now, I always tell people if you're going to get a second passport, go with a country that has good visa-free travel, is inexpensive, that does not tax income at least outside the country. Or go with a pure tax haven, and that's a territorial tax country, by the way. It doesn't tax any income outside the country if you're a resident in that country. And a pure tax haven would be one that doesn't have any income taxes inside or outside the country if you're living there. Okay. Now, so what I'm looking for my clients and let them know. And one of the big questions that people have too is they say, usually come up is, Tom, I don't plan to move to this country. I'm going to get citizenship and passport. I hear this a lot. And then a lot of times the person ends up moving there several years later. And you're paying too much to not look at that option, because if you end up moving to a country, and if you're a U.S. citizen or from Germany or whatever, and you end up getting a second passport, why do you want to go from a high-tax country to another high-tax country? That doesn't make sense to me. When you could have gone and not paid any income taxes at all if you end up moving to that country. You got to look at our five flag theory on www.citizenshipquickly.com. One of the big things that the five flag theory talks about is getting a passport in either territorial country or pure tax haven, and it goes through and explains why. I would look at that and see before you spend a lot of your hard-earned money in trying to get a passport, and then later, regretting it. And you only have 110 visa-free countries, and these are countries and territories that you can travel to. 110 is not that much. Now, probably over time that will increase, but you can get a lot more visa-free countries in the Caribbean for about the same price, and the weather's a lot better. You don't have earthquakes like you do in Turkey. And you don't have any income taxes. All of the countries in the Caribbean that we deal with are either territorial tax systems they have set up, or they're pure tax havens. Antigua and St. Kitts are pure tax havens. The other ones in the Caribbean that are fast track have territorial tax systems where they tax inside the country but not any income outside the country. So this is something that you need to look at. Also, just to tell you something too that you need to really think about, people usually find this out the hard way. I lived in Panama for 4 years and also visited Dominican Republic quite a bit too. And these two countries are all Spanish-speaking countries. And Panama, I was there for 4 years, and I'm going to tell you something very frustrating. You can't speak the language there. You'll hear people say about Panama that most of the people speak the language. That's BS. I would say 2% of the whole population there speaks fluent English. The reason I say this, if you go to Turkey, you can't speak Turkish language, then you're going to spend a lot of wasted time trying to get people to translate. Everything's going to have to be translated when you do things. It's a pain in the butt. It takes a lot of time to do it. And I had a situation in Dominican Republic where I almost died because the pharmacist gave me the wrong medication. I had a real problem with my stomach. It almost killed me, and only because he didn't understand what I was saying. He gave me the wrong medication. So, things like this can really bug you. And if I was you, if you're an English-speaking person and that's one of your main languages, stick to an English-speaking country. You get there, everything runs smoother. You don't have to be worried about saying huh all the time, getting things translated. Just every time anybody talks to you, you have to get it translated. It's just a pain in the butt. I would advise you to stick with a country that you speak the main language. It is a time saver, and it can keep you from dying, because of my case that I'm just telling you about. So, I would look strongly at picking a country that speaks your language. St. Kitts is also a better option. Just to give you an example, because the visa-free travel is better. Not just the taxes, but visa-free travel is better. You can get a property in St. Kitts with a minimum instead of it being $250,000, it's $200,000. And your weather's nice all year round. There's no earthquakes in St. Kitts like you got in Turkey. And there are other options you can get with Turkey. You can also invest $500,000 in a Turkish bank. That will qualify you for the citizenship too. You can also employ 50 people and have a startup business. You can also go into a real estate investment trust for $500,000. But another problem too that you run into there too is Turkey has a floating currency that is pretty much plummeted in the last 2 years. Now I know a lot of our clients in the U.S. They're negative on the U.S. dollar, but I'll tell you something. Whenever there's a crisis that comes into play, everybody jumps back in the U.S. dollar. But the lira's had a lot of trouble in the last couple of years. I don't think we've hit the bottom yet. And now if you get a currency play, you could be coming out ahead if you're hitting the bottom. Who knows? But the EC dollar, which St. Kitts uses, is tied to the U.S. dollar at 2.7, so it's tied in with the U.S. going up and down. So that's something you can look at there, especially if you're spending your money in the U.S. dollar. Turkey also allows dual citizenship, which is a big plus. We don't, of course, deal with any countries that don't allow dual citizenship because that's a big thing. You don't ever want to go with a country that is a second passport country that doesn't allow dual citizenship, because if you do that, the government owns you because they own your passport, and that would be something that I would strongly, always consider. If you go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, look up the different programs we've got. If you want to get your taxes to zero, close to zero, we can help you with that. We work with a lot of tax planning. Also, if you are interested in new videos as they come out, hit the subscribe button below to your right, and we'll get those videos out as soon as they come out. We'd like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, so just shoot that to us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we get the comment. And I look forward to talking to you later. Take care, and best of luck to you. Bye.